All right, so we are going to talk about which solving method to use. So if there is one x value, so if you only see one x in there, you are going to undo it, which means, remember, we are going to square root. When we have two x's, so there's like an x squared and an x, we are going to factor and use the zero product property to find it, which we use the box and diamond. Okay? But what happens if it doesn't factor? Remember, all you do is you do the diamond, and if it doesn't work, then you jump to this. So the quadratic formula, I'm sure a lot of you memorized this in middle school. A lot of you probably memorized it with the Pop Goes the Weasel song. So this is your quadratic formula. If you don't have it memorized, that's fine. Write it down. You need it. So a is in front of the x squared, b is in front of the x, and c is your number. So we are going to solve by the quadratic formula, and we're going to talk about how to solve it, because a lot of times it's not setting it up, it's how we solve is that you get confused. So first we need to get it equal to 0. So minus 3. That's negative 1. All right, so just to pretend like we are doing solving that we don't know. So negative 1, negative 4, we can't do at all. So that means we get rid of that. That means that a is 1 because there's no number in front of the x squared. B is negative 4. C is negative 1. So when you are putting it into the quadratic formula, it's opposite of b. So that means it's not negative. Since it's already negative, it's positive. It's opposite. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So how we are going to solve this first is you are going to keep the 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So what you are going to do is you are going to put all this under the square root, or all under in your calculator, okay? And you can just do it just like how it is. So negative 4 squared, make sure you put the negative 4 in parentheses, because if you just do negative 4 squared, you're going to get negative 16, which is wrong. It should be positive 16. And then minus 4 times 1 times negative 1. So you should get square root of 20. Okay? So now, just like every other problem we have had, whenever you solve for x, you get 2 answers. So that's 4 plus the square root of 20 all over 2, and 4 minus the square root of 20 all over 2. So the square root of 20 is 4.472. So if I add 4 and then divide by 2, I get 4.236. And then 4 minus the square root of 20 divided by 2, I get negative 0.236. So those are my 2 x values. That is how I want you to solve for the quadratic formula. If you are pushing all of this in your calculator, you need to make sure you put that in parentheses. Otherwise, you're going to not get the right answer. It's only going to divide by 2. The square root of 20 is going to only divide by 2, and then you're going to get a wrong answer. So just make sure you're putting in your calculator correctly. Otherwise, you get the wrong answer, which we don't want. All right, so find x when f of x is 2. So 2 equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. I get it equal to 0 first. Now remember, we normally are going to be doing the box and diamond. Negative 18x squared and 4x. Now, this section, you know everything doesn't factor, but when you go to the test and when you go to the review and mixed practice, you don't know that. So make sure that you just are checking. You know that if you come up with a diamond and it doesn't work, like this one, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, nothing works to get to 4. So that means that it doesn't work. So that means your A is 2, B is 4, C is negative 9. So that means x equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So how I want you to solve first is figure out what goes under the square root. Do not put square root in your calculator right away. If you do, that means that it's going to, whenever we get imaginary numbers, it's not going to work and it's going to say error and it's just going to be a lot of work. So first, just put in 4 squared, which is 16, minus 4 times 2 times negative 9. So I get 88. Okay, so now I get 88. So now I need 2 answers, remember. So negative 4 plus the square root of 88 all over 4. Since I have room down here, negative 4 minus the square root of 88 all over 4. So figure out if you want to put this in your calculator, you need to make sure you put parentheses. So negative 4 plus the square root of 88. And then you have to put enter, then divided by 4. If you're doing this on your phone, it's really tricky. So make sure you find a calculator. It's way easier. Because you got to punch in buttons that are the right order, otherwise it doesn't work. So there you go. Those are your 2 answers. All right, we have one more example. I want you, just like our other videos, I want you to pause the video and do it yourself. I'm going to do it, and then we can compare answers at the end. But just watching, whoops, sorry. make sure that you are not just mindlessly watching the video, but you're actually doing it with me. Otherwise, it's not going to be helpful. So when you get to your homework, you're going to be super lost. All right, my first answer is 7.359. I rounded at the end because it was 8/8. So the second 8 rounds that up to a 9. The other one is negative 1.359. All right. So hopefully you got the same answers as me. And if you have any questions, make sure you message your teacher. It's not helpful if you don't talk to them and ask questions, because then you're just going to get overwhelmed. So there's several different ways we have solved by undoing. We have solved by factoring, and now we've solved by quadratic formula. So hopefully all of those go super easy for you. If they don't, make sure you reach out wherever you're getting lost. And then we will be adding some level 2 questions next.